While I'm personally agnostic and find the Christian Bible to be a highly metaphorical and allegorical text, when it comes to cosmology, the Bible is quite clear in its explanation of the shape of the earth. The creation and structure of Earth is described in hundreds of verses, detailing a geocentric level plane bounded by a solid vault of the sky, within which the sun, moon, and stars all revolve. Nowhere in any biblical scripture is Earth described as a spinning globe rotating around the sun in a vacuum of ever-expanding space. In fact, the Bible makes no mention of outer space or the other trillions upon trillions of planets claimed to exist by modern astronomers. It also makes no mention of a Big Bang explosive beginning, and no mention of the force of gravity holding people and oceans stuck to all sides of a spinning ball. The cosmology outlined by the Bible is clearly a geocentric, fixed and motionless, flat Earth. Genesis chapter 1 begins by telling us, quote, "In the beginning God created the heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." In other words, the original and primordial substance of the early universe was not space, but rather water. Next, God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. So before creating the sun, moon, stars, or even the dry land of the earth, God divided the waters of the great deep in a vertical fashion, leaving an empty living space between the waters above and below. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called the seas. Note that all of this happens before the creation of the sun, moon, and stars, which are all placed within the firmament for signs, seasons, and to light the earth. What do Christian heliocentrists think the earth orbited around before God created the sun? Isaiah 40:22 further confirms this cosmology, stating, "He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, and its people are like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like a canopy, and spreads them out like a tent to live in." Earth is described as a circle, and not a sphere. The original Hebrew word used is kug, which means round or circle, in contrast to the word dur or kadur, which means sphere, globe, or ball. Earlier in Isaiah 22:18, the word kadur was actually used when God said, "He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball." Thus, if the authors of the Bible had meant to describe Earth as a globe, they certainly would have chosen the correct noun. Furthermore, the description of stretching out the heavens like a canopy, spreading them out like a tent to live in, details an extended surface area with a solid ceiling stretched and spread out as a living space. If instead it meant a spinning globe with an attractive force of gravity keeping people stuck to the surface, surely it would have said so. Job 38:14 gives another visual analogy, stating, "The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Its features stand out like those of a garment." When a lump of clay is pressed under a seal and takes shape, it turns a featureless blob into a defined, textured area, spreading and stretching it out into a planar surface with raised edges. Seeing that Antarctica boasts the highest average land elevation on Earth, at a shocking 8,200 feet above sea level, this description fits perfectly with the flat Earth model, which holds that Antarctica is a southern perimeter and not a single continent. If a gigantic celestial seal was pressed down onto the clay of an early Earth, an expanse of mountains, plains, and valleys with a raised circular perimeter is exactly what you would expect to see. How could a lump of clay remain in spherical form after being pressed under a seal? Christian globe apologists will often point to earlier in Job 26:7 and claim this verse denotes the earth as a sphere suspended in space. Job 26:7 reads, "He stretched out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing." Firstly, nowhere in this verse is earth described as spherical, and it is simply assumed by globe defenders that the empty place mentioned must be so-called outer space. Even biblical scholar Dr. Adam Clarke, who was himself a heliocentrist, refutes this interpretation in his commentary, stating that the literal translation is "on the hollow or empty waste," quoting the Chaldean version, which says, "He layeth the earth upon the waters, with nothing sustaining it." Therefore, the verse doesn't depict a globe being hung in empty space, but rather an expanse being laid out upon the waters, which were empty or waste, with nothing visible before dry land appeared, just as previously described in Genesis and several other similar passages. Isaiah 44:24 further confirms the earth being a spread-out expanse and not a globular ball, stating, "I am the Lord, who made all things, who alone stretched out the heavens, who spread out the earth by myself." Similarly, Job 38:4 asks, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me, if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it?" A spread-out earth with a measuring line stretched across it clearly describes a level plain and not a globe. Likewise, Psalm 143:10 in the King James Version reads, "May your good spirit lead me on level ground," and in the New International Version reads, "Thy spirit is good, lead me into the land of uprightness." On a globe there is no truly level ground, nor is anyone truly upright, as globe indoctrination insists everyone is stuck 360 degrees around a spinning ball. The only way for people to be standing upright on level ground is upon the face of a flat plain earth. The very term flat earth is even used to describe the world in the 1537 Matthew's Bible. 2 Samuel 11:11 reads, "And Vrius said unto David, The ark, Israel, and Luda dwell in pavilions, and my Lord and the servants of my Lord lie in tents upon the flat earth." There are also many events said to have taken place in the Bible which could never happen on a globe and require a level plain earth to be possible. For example, Job 28:24 states, "For he looks to the ends of the earth and sees everything under the heavens." There are no ends of the earth on a globe, and it's impossible from any one vantage point to see everything on a globular earth. Likewise, in Revelation 1:7, the Bible states, "Behold, he cometh with the clouds, and every eye shall see him." The only way that every eye could see a figure in the sky is over a flat earth. Then again, in Matthew 4:8 we are told, "The devil took him to a very high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor." No matter how high or where such a mountain was positioned on a globe earth, it would be impossible to have a line of sight to every kingdom in the world. Unlike globe cosmology, which insists Earth is a spinning ball surrounded by a near infinity of outer space, the Bible describes Earth as an enclosed system, covered by a solid firmament. The sun, moon, and stars all exist locally within this solid vault of the heavens, and not millions upon millions of miles away, as claimed by heliocentric science. The root Hebrew word for this solid ceiling is rakia, meaning a large expanse of solid surface, firmament, vault, or dome. This is confirmed in many biblical passages, including Ezekiel 1:22, which reads, "Over the heads of the living creatures there was the likeness of an expanse, shining like awe-inspiring crystal, spread out above their heads." Job 37:18 gives a further description in the New International Version, stating, "Can you join him in spreading out the skies, hard as a mirror of cast bronze?" And in the King James Version, stating, "Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking-glass?" The creation of this firmament is described in great detail on the Bible's very first page. in Genesis chapter 1, 6 through 8, which reads, God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above, and it was so. God called the vault sky. Then in Genesis 1, 14 through 18, God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times, days, and years, and let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth." And it was so. God made 2 great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light upon the earth. So God created the sun, moon, and stars, all within the solid vault of the sky, to light the earth and serve as signs to mark days and years, not millions of miles away in an endless void of outer space where they would serve no such purpose. And unlike heliocentric cosmology, which claims the moon revolves around the earth revolves around the sun, and the entire solar system spirals through outer space, the Bible claims, as our common sense reveals, that the earth is motionless, while the sun, moon, and stars all revolve over and around us. Time and again, the Bible repeats that the earth is established, firm, and can never be moved. Psalm 104:5 states, "He set the earth on its foundations, it can never be moved." Psalm 96:10 reads, "Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth, the world shall be established, that it shall not be moved." And Psalm 93:1 says, "Yes, the world is established, it shall never be moved." 1 Chronicles 16:30 states, "Tremble before all the earth, the world is firmly established, it cannot be moved." And Zechariah 1:11 says, "We have patrolled the earth, and behold, all the earth remains at rest." Not only does the Bible confirm the earth to be stationary, but it repeats in countless verses that it is the sun which rises and sets over the earth, and not the earth which revolves around the sun. Genesis 15:12 states, "As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep." Genesis 19:23 reads, "The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar." And Genesis 28:11 says, "When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set." Here the Bible confirms that it is the sun which moves in the sky, just as we observe every day, and not, as heliocentric doctrine claims, that the earth itself spins towards and away from the sun. During Joshua's battle against the Amorites, he requested the sun to stand still so he could continue fighting in the daylight, and God is said to have caused the sun to stand still for a whole day. Joshua 10:12 reads, "Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sigh of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou, moon, in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies." Similarly, in Isaiah, the sun is said to have reversed direction and returned 10 degrees. Isaiah 38:8 says, "Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down." Thus, the Bible describes the world to be exactly as common sense and geocentric flat earth cosmology claims, a stationary, level plane with the sun, moon, and stars revolving around us overhead. One final verse that testifies to the firmament, the ends of the earth, and the movement of the sun in a circuit is the beginning of Psalm 19, which reads, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof." This verse is notably featured on the gravestone of NASA's original head director, Wernher von Braun. Of all the possible things one could have engraved on their tombstone, why would the head of NASA, an organization devoted to the concept of outer space travel, choose a Bible verse that describes a firmament covering the Earth? Could it be because he knew the lie of heliocentric cosmology, and his conscience wanted to be clear by leaving such a hint behind as a final testament? Regardless, the Bible is clear in its descriptions of the Earth, which Christian heliocentrists should deeply consider before being deluded by globe indoctrination. Nowhere in the Bible is Earth described as a spinning ball shooting through a vacuum of near-infinite space. Instead, it is confirmed time and again to be as geocentric cosmology has always claimed, a level, stationary plane with the sun, moon, and stars orbiting above and around.